When ruthless thugs brutally executed the family of an ordinary clerk, they thought they got away with it. But in that moment, they signed their own death warrant. Nick is a manager at a large company and a devoted family man.
It says that people with kids live longer than people with no kids.
His wife, Helen, and their 2 teenage sons, Brandon and Lucas, are waiting for him at home.
I'm home. Sorry I'm late. Did I miss dinner?
The eldest, Brandon, is a talented athlete, and his father is very proud of him.
Dad, your thrilling life.
Hey, don't make fun of your father, bum. I'm the only one you get.
Brandon dreams of moving to Canada to pursue a career in hockey. On the way home, Nick stopped to fill up the car with gas, while Brandon ran into the store to buy a milkshake.
Hey, honey, it's me. I just wanted to let you know that our son is going to Canada to play hockey. And of course, we may never see our son again.
Nick quickly realized they were in a rough neighborhood. At the same time, he didn't notice a group of armed bandits climbing out of 2 cars, preparing to rob the gas station.
The fuck down or I'll blow your fucking head off!
The clerk reached for the alarm button but was immediately shot. Nick rushed to his son, but Brandon was struck by a car.
Get this mother!
A criminal named Joe had to kill someone to prove himself and join the gang. He grabbed a machete and slit Brandon's throat in front of Nick's eyes. The accomplices abandoned Joe and drove away without him. Nick managed to rip off his mask and see his face. Joe tried to escape, but was hit by a speeding car. Brandon was still alive when his father carried him to the hospital, but he had lost too much blood. The rest of the family arrived shortly after. The doctor reported they couldn't save him. Nick easily identified his son's killer.
5.
It's Joe Darley.
The preliminary hearing was scheduled for the day after Brandon's funeral. Nick had to make a statement. During his conversation with the prosecutor, Nick learned that Joe faced a maximum of 5 years.
This is a take it or leave it thing, sorry to say.
If they pushed for more than 10, he could even walk free. The problem was clear. Nick was the only witness. The murder weapon was missing, and only Brandon's blood was found on Joe's clothes. All they had was Nick's testimony.
And you picked the only gas station in America without a working surveillance camera. We've just got your word.
Nick was further devastated when he learned that Brandon's death had been nothing more than a gang initiation. His boy was killed for no reason.
Are you saying that Brendan was killed so that some asshole could feel more like a man?
Looking at the scumbag, Nick suddenly declared that he was withdrawing his statement.
What?
It was dark. There were a lot of them.
He hadn't seen who attacked his son. The case was closed, and Joe Darley was released. His gang picked him up outside the courthouse. The leader was a bald man named Billy. Nick followed them as they dropped off the new recruit at a brothel. That evening, Nick went home and began choosing a weapon for revenge. He found a rusty machete in the garage, but considered settling for an old knife. His wife and son overheard the noise.
I left some at the office. I can go back.
Now?
Nick lied, saying he had forgotten something at the office and needed to go back. In truth, he was waiting for Joe. Just as Nick was about to leave, Joe stepped outside to take out the trash.
Jesus!
Nick snapped and lost all control. He jumped out of the car and attacked the young killer. During the struggle, Nick barely realized when the knife sank into Joe's stomach. Joe died instantly. Snapping back to reality, Nick pulled the knife from the body and threw it into the river. At home, while the family was going through old tapes of happier times, Nick tried to hide the horror of what he had done.
You're mad.
It's okay. I cut my hands.
You all right?
I've got fine.
Alone in the bathroom, he broke down and cried bitterly. The next morning, Billy went to meet with Bones, a fat, ruthless arms dealer. Bones took his cut and threatened Billy, saying he'd gut him if he ever tried to cheat.
You better deliver for me, or I'll know you've been stealing, and I'll kill you.
Later, Billy learned that Joe had been stabbed to death the night before.
He's dead.
Meanwhile, Nick tried to return to his old life, going back to work. Detective Wallace arrived with the news.
The guy we thought killed your son, somebody killed him.
Joe Darley was dead. The woman noticed Nick's bandaged arm.
All right, I'll leave you to it then.
That evening, Billy lost his temper. He blamed the rest of the gang for being weak and insisted they had to find the guy who hurt them and get revenge.
A good fucking boy.
Unfortunately, that night, Nick caught the attention of one of the gangsters' sisters. When she heard the man had been wearing a suit, Billy guessed it was Nick, the manager, who had come to see them. The girl looked at a photo in the newspaper and confirmed she had seen him. Nick's arm was bleeding, and his employees noticed their boss was acting strangely.
Actually, could you drop this off with Owen, please, on your way out?
Nick himself grew paranoid at the sound of police sirens. Soon, gang members surrounded him on the street. The rest of the gang opened fire right there in the street. Nick bolted into an alley, chased by half a dozen thugs. He knew if they caught him, he was finished, so he couldn't stop. He managed to duck into a kitchen, slamming the door behind him for a few seconds' advantage, but the mob quickly broke it down and continued the chase. Nick finally burst into a parking lot. He jumped across car roofs, setting off alarms, hoping the chaos would make it harder for the gang to find him. Exhausted, he climbed onto a rooftop, but one of the criminals followed. Realizing he needed to strike first, Nick attacked. He distracted the thug, knocked him down, and gunshots rang out. The fight spilled into a parked car. At one point, the gangster climbed on top of Nick and started choking him as the car rolled toward the edge. At the last second, Nick managed to overpower him, wrapping a seatbelt around the man's neck. Nick jumped free just before the car tumbled. Crushing Billy's sidekick under twisted metal. Nick scrambled back to his own car and escaped the parking lot. Suddenly, his wife called. She couldn't find Lucas anywhere.
What do you mean you can't find him? Where the hell is he? Did you call his friends?
Nick immediately knew where to look. The boy had gone to the gas station where Brandon was killed. Lucas broke down, wondering,
would it have been better if it was me? Is that what it is?
Yes or no. He believed his parents always loved his older, more talented brother more.
You guys could have handled that a lot easier losing Brad the Golden Boy.
Meanwhile, Billy still had Nick's wallet, filled with family photos. He already knew his next move. Bodies showed up at Nick's office. The security guard couldn't stop him in time. He stormed in, kicking employees and shouting at everyone.
Nicholas Hume!
He handed the manager a package before 3 guards finally wrestled him out.
You're free from wondering if you're gonna die alone, you hear?
Inside the package was the briefcase Nick had tossed during the chase, now wrapped in paper. The family photos inside had their faces crossed out. On the back of one picture was a phone number. Nick called immediately. Billy answered and threatened him.
And I will cut out your goddamn guts like I did your fucking friend. Do you hear me? He was my brother.
Panic-stricken, Nick phoned his wife and told Helen to stay with their son until the police arrived.
Yes, we're fine.
All right, just stay there until somebody comes.
He also called Detective Wallace to report the threats. By the time Nick returned home, his family was there with a police car parked outside. A few minutes later, Detective Wallace herself showed up. She demanded that Nick finally tell her the whole truth.
How you make Billy Darley this pissed off at you?
Did you really think you could kill a man's brother and get away with it just because you lived far away? The woman already knew who had killed Joe Darley, but Nick still refused to admit it. The police promised to watch the house overnight, but if Nick had really started this war, no one could protect him.
And don't worry, Mr. Hume. We put out an APB on...
Helen struggled to believe her husband was capable of something so brutal. No matter what, Helen swore she wouldn't abandon Nick.
And nothing that's happened changes that.
That night, the cops sat in their car outside while Nick stayed inside, sitting on the stairs with a bat in his hands, fighting to stay awake. At some point, he looked out of the window and saw the policeman dead. The gang had already made it inside. Nick swung his bat and fought back, but a thug armed with a shotgun tore through the house, blowing everything apart. Nick managed to bring him down. In the chaos, a second gangster accidentally shot the first, and Nick tumbled with him from the second floor. But resistance was pointless. The rest of the gang had already grabbed Helen and Lucas. Billy pulled the trigger 3 times. The thugs wiped out Nick's entire family in cold blood, but they made one mistake. They never fired the kill shot. Nick woke up in the hospital, thrashing at the doctors until they injected him with a sedative. The next time he opened his eyes, Detective Wallace was there. She begged him to stop before it was too late.
You were never going to win this, Mr. Hume. Nobody is.
But then Olya revealed that Lucas was still alive, barely. He was in critical condition, with a gunshot wound to the head, but he still had a chance.
Hey, Luca, can you hear me?
Nick rushed to his son's room. Though Lucas lay unconscious, Nick stayed by his side, whispering that he loved him just as much as Brandon.
I love you. I love you so much.
Now, Brandon was gone, and Lucas was all Nick had left.
I'm so sorry that I wasn't a better father.
From the hallway, the detective watched through the glass, just in time to see Nick slip out of the ward. He had escaped. He wasn't going to stop. At that very moment, Lucas stirred from his coma. Meanwhile, Nick returned home, changed his clothes, and traced the phone number Billy had used to call him. He emptied his savings account
Pulling out the kid's college fund, huh?
and headed to the Four Roses bar, the same place where the call had been made. The bartender refused to give up Billy's location, even when Nick offered a stack of cash.
Fuck you.
So Nick resorted to violence. After a savage beating, the terrified man finally confessed the address where Billy was hiding.
This boy Heck goes crashing at 113, up the block.
I need weapons. Nick was directed to the boss, Fat Bones. He laid his cash on the table and was invited to browse the arsenal.
You got the bastard of bastards.
Nick studied the pistols carefully and picked the ones he liked, adding a shotgun for good measure.
That's $3 fucking grand worth.
Nick paid without hesitation and headed for the exit.
He's your son.
That'd make you the motherfucker killed Joe, that right? Now you're after Billy, yeah?
Yes, I really do want to kill him. Bones didn't flinch. He admitted Billy was a piece of shit and had nothing to do with his business.
Dad to dad? Don't tell me about it. Just go do it.
To Bones, a loyal customer was worth more than a worthless son. Back home, Nick loaded the guns. He barely knew how to handle them, so he read the instructions. Then he shaved his head, treated his wounds, and put on his dead son's jacket. His first stop was a drug den, where one of the gangsters was high. Nick blasted the door open with his shotgun, then fired again before the bald addict could reach his weapon. The junkie broke fast. He confessed that their hideout was an abandoned mental hospital.
That's where we cook our shit, dude. It's by the bridge up Stygian Street.
Nick shoved a gun in his face and forced him to call the boss.
The fucker didn't die, Billy.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Meanwhile, Bones had tracked down his son to teach him a lesson and warn him of the danger.
Now, do you need any more fucking instructions?
But Billy didn't care. He blew his father's brains out without hesitation. Nick lay in wait as 6 gangsters piled into a car. He rammed them at full speed, smashing the vehicle into pieces. Another scumbag down. Armed with a double-barreled shotgun, Nick stormed the abandoned mental hospital. He blew off one thug's leg before finishing him, then gunned down another who tried to escape. Reinforcements poured into the lab. Nick fought his way upstairs, blasting through them one by one. 2 shooters prowled the halls, hunting him. He ambushed one behind a wall. Both fired, but Nick's shot hit first. Then he pushed into the chapel. A brutal firefight erupted. In the end, Body's brains painted the walls. But Nick paid the price. 4 new bullet wounds ripped through his body. Despite his injuries, Nick pressed forward. He managed to blow off Billy's fingers and rip open his guts.
Look at you. You look like one of us. Look what I made you.
Look what I've turned you into. Suddenly, Nick pulled a hidden .357 Magnum from his jacket. Billy's eyes widened. He knew the game was over. Wounded and bleeding, Nick dragged himself home. He collapsed in front of the TV, watching old videos of his family. That's how Detective Wallace found him.
He started moving. I think he's gonna pull through.
She told him Lucas had regained consciousness. The boy would live. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too early for Nick to go on living too. That's Nick's story wrapped up. Want more thrillers like this? Click on one of the videos right here on your screen and keep the action going. And hey, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for the next recap.